My neighbor demanded I tear down my fence for 3 years, so I made sure he'd regret getting his wish. Harold measured my fence like Kanye guards his spotlight, obsessively, territorially, and convinced everyone wanted a piece of what was his. He moved in 3 years ago and immediately decided those 6 inches of my property were his life's mission. The fence had been there since 1995, but Harold had documentation. Oh boy, did he have documentation. It started with a knock on my door his first week. He stood there with a surveyor's map and a ruler. Your fence encroaches 6 inches onto my property. I thought he was joking. The previous owners lived there 30 years and never mentioned it. Harold wasn't joking. He pulled out a binder with color-coded tabs and showed me his evidence. Then he asked when I'd be moving it. Every Sunday at 7 a.m., Harold performed his ritual. He'd march out with his laser level, measuring tape and camera, click, measure, document. He'd spend an hour creating what he called the permanent record. He installed motion sensors that flooded my bedroom with light whenever a squirrel ran by, protecting my 6 inches, he explained. He planted thorny bushes right at his property line that scratched my kids when they played. When my 8-year-old cried after getting cut, Harold lectured her about trespassing. His 2 German shepherds would pace the fence line during his measurements, whining to chase rabbits in my yard. Harold kept them on tight leashes, his pristine lawn unmarred by a single paw print out of place. Discipline, he'd say, yanking them back if they stepped on even one blade of his perfect grass. The escalation came in waves. First, the certified letters. Every month, a new one with photos and measurements. Then the HOA meetings where he'd present PowerPoints about property rights. He discovered I worked in real estate and started posting on professional forums about the unethical realtor who steals land. He hired landscapers who accidentally destroyed my garden while maintaining the true property line. The breaking point came during our 25th anniversary party. I had family from across the country, friends from work, my elderly parents who'd flown in from Florida. We were in the backyard when Harold appeared with an actual surveyor. In front of 50 guests, he announced, "I'm documenting the encroachment for my adverse possession claim." He handed me legal papers while my mother started crying. 3 years of documentation. That fence comes down Monday, or I take your whole yard. My father grabbed his chest from the stress. Harold just smiled and tapped his temple. Should have respected property lines, buddy. That night I researched everything. Harold's survey, his 3 years, his adverse possession threats. Then I studied Harold himself. Those German shepherds he walked at 5:30 sharp. His yard he vacuumed with a lawnmower twice weekly. The way he'd panic if his dogs even looked at his flower beds. Then it hit me. Harold's whole property was designed around that fence, keeping his dogs contained. Without it, his perfect world would crumble. He wanted those 6 inches so badly, he'd forgotten what the fence actually did for him. I hired a licensed fence company that Monday, made sure everything was documented, permits pulled, video recorded. Harold watched from his lawn chair, live streaming to our neighborhood Facebook group. "Justice being served," he kept shouting. He took victory photos next to the workers removing each panel. The fence came down by noon. Harold posted immediately about his win against property thieves. I was watching from my window when it happened. Harold let his dogs out for their afternoon bathroom break. Duke, the bigger shepherd, noticed the missing fence immediately. He froze, tilted his head, then bolted straight toward the street. Harold dropped his phone mid-live stream and sprinted after him, screaming. The second dog followed. Harold's perfect control shattered in seconds as both dogs tasted freedom for the first time. Within an hour, Duke was in Mrs. Patterson's rose garden. By dinner, animal control had visited twice. Harold scrambled to put up temporary barriers, but the dogs had discovered chaos. Day 3 brought the first HOA violation. His dogs had destroyed the communal flower bed. Day 5, they dug trenches across his lawn chasing rabbits. The yard looked like a war zone. Mud everywhere. Plants shredded. His neighbors complained constantly about barking, loose dogs, and destroyed landscaping. After 2 months, Harold listed his house. The real estate photos showed the disaster zone his backyard had become. His agent noted the lack of fencing as a major liability issue. Listed $50,000 under market, 0 offers. Harold spent $15,000 on a new fence, built exactly where mine had stood. The surveys proved my old fence was placed correctly all along. Last week, I saw Harold in his driveway, measuring his new fence placement with a ruler. He noticed it sits 2 inches onto my property. We made eye contact. He said nothing. Sometimes the best revenge is giving someone exactly what they demanded.